Good morning and welcome to the Weekender, guys. Thank you for joining us, Otters. We are about to go on a journey. A journey of sight and sound. A journey of the mind into the deepest, darkest crevices where we will peg the best of gaming to our pegboard.
That's
Yes?
it? Yeah.
Yes.
Pegboard of coolness.
A pegboard of coolness, right?
Are we really going to start ripping off Top Gear again?
No, we're not. Right. Anyway, let's get pegging. Okay, so Ben, welcome to the show, man. He is our master pegger for today. And we have the Jerry. The man who knows what it's all about.
That's the one.
He knows the crack. He's there with Justin, who, by the look in his eyes, has no idea what's going on at all.
I'm an innocent.
And then over on this side of the room, you got the Brother Lloyd.
Hello,
Hey,
peeps.
Brother Lloyd.
Hello, peeps.
My man. And then there's me, and I'm Warren. And I will be assisting with us pegging the best of wargaming onto the pegging board.
Mhm.
Yes?
Am I going to have to make this? How many holes am I going to have to bore with this?
We will see. We will see.
All right.
Right. Cool. I haven't actually looked at the running order yet, so I just got a lovely surprise. Ben, well done, man. This is a cracking running order because he actually starts it off with
I read it, Ben. Don't worry.
with a reminder of the Cult of Games Discord.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay. So careful now. Having seen some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes here.
This is why I went to the sanctuary. It seems pretty safe.
Okay, so we need your help. We need you. We need all of you. We need your help because we've got a bunch of mad folk behind the scenes in our Discord. So we have, you guys, if you're longtime watchers, you will know that we have Backstage. Backstage has morphed into a cult. It's a cult of games. It's the Cogito Ludus. It is everything you've ever wanted from a secret society and games. So we run the Cult of Games, or Cogito Ludus. It has been a hell of a lot of fun. We have a exclusive newsletter that goes out where they've got there's cryptic ciphers in it every week. We obviously have the content. We have the behind the scenes shows. Well, we have two shows that are excellent. They're a lot of fun. One is called Pointless Views, which comes out on Friday, and then there's the legendary XLBS, which is on a Sunday. We've been graced with Jerry's magnificent hobby tips this last while, so we've got some more on the way, and we now have this exclusive Discord server specifically for the cult members, right? So the cogs are all in there, okay? And what it is just this running dialogue of awesomeness that just happens all week long. So it's kind of like a window into our world, a window into their world. You know, we're all in there. When you join up to the server, you get to pick a house, and we've got 3 houses, okay? And those houses are the House of Water, led by the Jerry.
It's the best one to be in. We're very mellow. We get there in the end. We may meander a bit, but we get there.
The House of Water is, I've got to say, something quite astonishing. It's where it is the most mellow of the houses. And the brains of Britain and all brains of the States are all in there. It is a very mellow and relaxing place. I see it sometimes on my way to my house, which is the Juvie House, the House of Rejuvenation, where grognards go to try not to die. So the House of Rejuvenation is my house. It is a house that I'm very proud of. It has its quirks and its idiosyncrasies, but that's okay, because one of the houses had to be that way. Anybody who is in the Cult of Games, who is, how do we put this, somewhat they're in the juvie house. I have a lot of fun in the juvie house, and the juvies make sure that we have a lot of fun in the juvie house.
So if you're slightly off the wall, batshit crazy.
You join the juvie house. If that's the case, you want to come and join the cult games and join the juvie house, you'd be most welcome. We have a lot of crack in there. And then there's the House of Three Truths.
Yeah, we're the hotties.
This is the hots.
No, the hotties is what they've dubbed themselves now.
The hotties.
Yes.
Okay. So the hotties in the House of Three Truths is the house that is expertly led
No, hang on.
by the Justin. By the
I
dignity.
run it like the British monarchy.
You run it like the British monarchy. Well, you sit around all day doing nothing.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. The House of Three Truths is interesting. I often also pass through there.
Yeah, Jerry keeps wandering through there. I have to have a word with the constructor that actually constructed these houses. That mine seems to be at the front for some reason.
The House of Three Truths is a shortcut to the other houses, so we like to wander through there just to see what's
Make
happening.
sure everybody's okay.
Yeah. And it's the House of Three Truths. The way it's described, the personality of the house is if the mastery of the game is just as important to you as the mastery of the opponent, then the House of Three Truths is where you need to be. It's basically an alpha strike house. It is, and it's got some great characters in there.
Yeah.
And they recently there was the possibility for an uprising. There was a possibility where they would have been able to ejaculate their leader and bring me in instead. But no, they rallied behind their leader, and they've said, "No, we leave Justin here. We will fix him."
I think it's more that they know
Like the magnificent musical mouse organ.
they know they're in charge rather than I'm in charge, which I think they like the freedom of that.
Actually, I did enjoy the moment this week when I passed through the House of Three Truths, only to find Justin delegating the leadership among lots of different people within the house. And I thought to myself, yeah, that works well. That works well.
Yeah, I actually did have a really nice moment in the House of Three Truths last weekend. So I was on the internet and I was in the mood to pick up a new video game, right?
Yes.
So I found Warhammer Chaos Bane on for super cheap. And because it's Discord, as soon as I'm playing video games, the people in the House of Three Truths can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them, Ted the Head, was getting on to me going, "Oh, Justin, how you enjoying the game?" "Yeah, not bad. Here's a link to where I bought it." And a couple of ones below are just going, "God damn it, I was looking at this and now it's cheap." Yeah.
So you got a load of people in to play with you, yeah?
Well, I haven't got them in with me yet. I'd been playing for a fair while, so they kind of need to catch up on levels.
The joy was in
Alpha
getting
strike.
getting it cheaper than they got it.
No. I actually found it cheaper for them than I got it myself when I was looking around again for it.
So you're pushing addictive games then? Is that what you're doing? Careful when you join the Three Truths, guys. Just beware.
No, it was
Your first
just,
hit might not be free. It'll be a reduced rate.
well, it was less than a quarter of the price I found it for, which was pretty damn good.
To give you a little bit of an insight, so we also in the Discord server we have our common areas, the common rooms and stuff where all of the cogs get in. We have the trash talk, which is a swirl of metal militia the whole time. It's if you enjoy your metal, and let's be honest, we do. It's worth getting into the trash talk, and then we use Discord during the recording of the pointless views and even the likes of exit. More and more we're going to be using Discord, so it's a great way to get you guys involved in the show, and it's this kind of online persistent area where we're just there, we're just together as a community, and we share things, it's we keep every morning. What I look forward to most, I've got to say, I start work quite early in the mornings, and one or two the Australians sit up late, so the Australians are still on whenever I'm coming in the morning,
Right.
and then what you find then is our Germans then come online, and every morning there's just this lovely "good morning, cogs," and it's so heartwarming that they'll start coming online and they're wishing each other a good morning, and then the Australians are saying, "Oh, night night, guys," and then they go off to bed a bit later than the Americans, and all come on, and it's just this lovely sweep. And you get this sense of the globe and the sense of the global community that we've been building up in OnTableTop. and it is so heartwarming, you know. And then they discuss really relevant topics like which variety of coffee is the best. It is
Solving the big issues.
yes, absolutely. We would love for you guys to join us and to be a deeper part of our community, you know, and to be there with us so that we can be there with you. And the Discord has been an interesting experiment and one that I have been so pleased with, because the sense of community, the sense of watching the community, helping one another, and you know, just supporting one another, and it really is a great addition to the cult, and I'm just pleased. I really am. So, in the show notes here, we will have a link to a 30-day free trial for the Cult of Games. Come along, try it out, and well, whenever you join the Cult of Games, we will reach out with you with the invitation to join the Discord server. There'll be information and stuff in there. So if you are, once you join the Cult of Games, if you go back into the same post, we'll find a way of doing this. That if you are a cult member and you go back into this post on OnTableTop.com, you will see an extra box of information.
Yeah.
Which will have the invitation code to join our Discord.
And it's cool because if you're in it for 30 days, you'll get access to some of the discount codes and things as well, wouldn't you?
Yes, we do discount codes every Friday.
For the store?
Every Friday, the Cult of Games communique goes out, our newsletter. If you're into cracking codes and ciphers and things like that, it's a great thing to be on. And I do absolutely love this part, because I've been creating these ciphers and codes to try and stump our community members. We're into issue 9 this week. So I'm still working away on it at the moment. But what you do is if you crack it, you get an achievement, and the achievement unlocks and your XP increases on tabletop, and there's a lot of fun to be had there, a lot of activities happening throughout the week, and it's just a great way to, I don't know, really kind of enliven your hobby, because that's what I find is, you know, that whenever I'm going through a bit of a hobby lull, I'll hop in. I find, you know, hopping into the Discord and seeing what people are doing, and hopping into the Cult of Games forums and stuff like that on the site. It's just a nice way to get that little incentive to say, right, I'm going to get a bit of hobby done, because I've just seen somebody do something and I just thought it was so cool. And yeah, it's nice to share with other people. You feel plugged in, which I think is kind of cool. Thank you for that, Ben. That was nice to put that in the running order, man. I got to sit and talk shite for a good long while. Will we talk some news? See what's going on in the world?
Yep.
Good man. Take it away, Ben.
Cool, yeah. So the first bit of news is for Age of Sigmar and Warcry, which is their sort of skirmish game on the side that sort of sets the flavour for the world of the Mortal Realms. And kicking things off, we got a couple of new looks at some monsters that are going to be showing up in Warcry. And leading the way was the teaser for the Ogroid Myrmidon, which I thought was very, very cool indeed. You may remember a model similar to this from Silver Tower. We had I think it was the Ogroid Thaumaturge or something, I think his name was. It was one of the characters from Silver Tower, which was the Warhammer Quest board game that came out a couple of years ago. Now they're sort of messing around with that and playing around with some of the different sort of styles with the model. And of course, now you've got a little bit more of a martial one here rather than a spellcaster, which looks very, very cool indeed. It's also obviously a good tie into all those kind of chaos armies that already exist out there. And as with most stuff from Warcry, it'll probably see itself appearing in Age of Sigmar later on as well. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
What I like about that in particular, Ben, is it hasn't been rolled in a bits box.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, there's just the right amount of detail on that as a miniature for me. No, I've seen better, but I really like it. I think as a monster, even in my D&D games, I would like to have that, you know, as a monster to meet.
Cool. Yeah, I think they've got it looking really fearsome and deadly, and I love the way that they've styled it. It used a lot of sort of sort of hints and things that we've seen from other monsters created by other companies as well, like Zealots, Minotaurs, and that kind of thing. And I think it's transferred over really nicely into what you see here. And it kind of gives that edge of chaos that I think everyone really enjoyed from sort of like the final days of 7th and 8th edition and stuff, moving into Age of Sigmar as it is now. So it's very cool.
Yeah, great stuff. What's next?
So next up, we've got another monster that's also new called the Mind Stealer Sphinx, which you can see there.
Well, now.
And this is, as some people have coined it, an Animuth monster, which I thought was quite funny. But this is a very, very awesome looking creature that, again, builds on the kind of background of the world of Age of Sigmar and the Mortal Realms. And I think this is kind of really interesting and key to Warcry as a whole, is it's allowing them to flesh out not just the Realm of Chaos, but all the other factions as well, hopefully down the line, and kind of build the character and sort of aesthetic for the world, which is a little bit odd, a little bit twisted, a little bit weird, while rather than just writing it all down in rule books, they're kind of doing it with really interesting miniatures, a little bit like how Warhammer Forge used to do for Forge World. And I think this looks great. It's very weird and off the wall, but I think it looks fun. So,
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
It's like a cat llama.
It's right. Well, okay.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and you've got this in your army, and it's coughing up a huge furball.
Right. So first things first, right? The two heads, right? There's one's got buck teeth.
I think they both have that. It's just one's got the mouth open.
Oh, all right,
Hides
okay.
it better.
It's an odd looking thing. It's an odd looking thing, I've got to say. But
I love that.
yeah. And do you know what? I'm accepting of the odd looking design aspect. I think, yeah, fair enough. The fur's rubbish, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
The fur is absolute rubbish. The model's too smooth. Where did do they not remember how to do fur anymore? Like, or is that supposed to be fur, or is it supposed to be just mostly shaved with a little bit of fur?
Well, I think it's meant to be sort of like that very close cut fur that you get on some cats, and then some of the more shaggy stuff around the neck and things like that. So
Maybe it
I'm trying to go for a little bit more of a wild cat look to it, I think.
Mangy then.
So it's more of a mangy shaved kind of a pussycat.
And it kind of looks like it's starving a little bit. You can see the ribs there.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think it might just be the paint job.
I think I like mine hairier. So I do. I think I do. I think if I was going in on that, I might.
You want a fuzzy kitty?
I'd flock it.
You want a fuzzy kitty?
I think so. I think I'd flock it to try and make it hairier.
I don't know why it's got pink braids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the natural colorings of the world of chaos, clearly. I mean, yeah.
And here's the other thing, right? Which army's that for?
Well, it's not for a particular army, it's for Warcry, but I'm sure it'll pop up as sort of like a monster that you'll be able to bring into like a chaos force, for example.
It's a wandering monster.
A wandering monster.
Say wandering monster, it's probably chasing a ball of twine. Or something like that.
Yeah, or if you had this thing in Lord of the Rings, Sauron might just look and it's chasing the laser bot.
Right. Well, if there was a way to make it more hairy, I'd be into that. What else have we got? Is that the only two releases?
No. There's more here.
Okay. Right.
I think you'll like this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a couple more releases further down, but one of the final monsters seen previously was also now sort of like revamped and re-talked about. Here is we've got the Fumaroid Crusher, which will be available as part of the Warcry selection next year as well. So that's the third of these sort of big monsters that they've been showing off for Warcry there that we had seen before. I really like the look of it. Again, a really cool chaos style to it, and messing around with a very typical sort of like Warhammer old world style creature and doing something a little bit new with it.
I like the skin color change thing.
The
That's
skin
cool.
color change is kind of interesting, isn't it?
See, I wouldn't mind having like a full army of this kind of race. Would be very cool.
Yeah.
Is
it a race or is it a construct?
I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. It's cool.
Well, it would be tied to the Fomore, who people would probably know from like Warhammer Fantasy and that kind of thing, who are kind of like that strange, slightly alien race that you got in the game, lived out in the swamps and that kind of thing. But this is like a rather big, much bigger version of it that's clearly, been on the diet and hitting the gym and stuff. So
I like the fact that he's got his armored eye patch for his one
for his one
cyclopean eye.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that poked out.
No.
That's a good one. Right, what's next? Keep going.
We have a unit.
Yeah, so this then feeds into a new army that's coming, a revamped army that's coming to Age of Sigmar, and that is that we're finally seeing the Slaves of Darkness, so Chaos and Divided, getting a proper revamp for Age of Sigmar. Those kind of like tight stocky looking Chaos Warriors have been given a little bit more of a dynamic look to them, and you can see some of them there in that set that you can see. So they're very, very typical of the kind of Chaos Warriors that you would have seen. Maybe if you saw a lot of the old posters from Warhammer Fantasy with, that they got done by the likes of Adrian Smith, they kind of transferred over that look of the Chaos Warriors into the mix here, as you can see here. And then that leads on to a revamp of the Chaos Knights as well.
This is a big one.
Well, wait, before you go there.
Yeah,
I love these.
Yeah, the variation in these really feels like it fits with the narrative.
And I just there's some of these poses are lovely, absolutely lovely. Yeah, big fan of those.
All right, now the big one, because I know you love the Chaos Knights Warrior.
I do, yeah.
So, yes.
Oh, mama! Now the Chaos Knights that I have are just trotting.
Yes.
They're on a nice, almost like a peaceful trot.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys, look at that guy there. That's
properly charging in.
Yeah.
The one with the big lance.
The one with the they all have a big lance. It's there's that particular model over on Jerry's side.
He doesn't have a lance. He's stolen the Witch King's mace.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And these are beautiful.
If I was other cavalry warring, I would not be riding away from these, because you might get one of those big lances up the bum bum. How about no, thank you?
I am telling you,
they're out riding around looking for robbery.
I want a set of these. I absolutely want a set of those.
It's one of the cool things about what they've done here is that, like, they've managed to keep, I think, a lot of the essence of what made Chaos Knights cool. That sort of like grim, heavily armored, don't really give a toss about anybody, no expressions to their faces, just serious badasses in heavy armor charging forward. And I think they've done a really good job of sort of translating that over into these sort of new, more dynamic sculpts for Age of Sigmar. Really
I wonder what sort of size these will be, because we haven't seen Chaos Warriors in a while. And I wonder if these are going to be scaled up to match the Stormcast.
Yeah.
I would probably
Both these and the infantry, because I haven't seen them beside anything, so I don't know what size bases anybody's on.
They look like it.
And I imagine they would look
If you
not
go
dissimilar.
If you go back to the guys on foot, because when I was looking at them, I was thinking, I was getting vibes of Stormcast sort of proportions type stuff to this.
Yeah.
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Well, it depends. Like if they're 25 mil bases that they're on, then they're about the same size as the
old ones. Yeah.
But if they're 32s,
They're pretty beefy.
they are pretty beefy.
Oh, we could probably tell from the width versus depth then, if we could really wanted to work it out.
Yeah, you possibly could.
Well, I couldn't, but somebody who can use
Somebody
a computer could.
Somebody could.
Yeah. But I've got to say, I don't know where I'm at on this. Right. Okay. So either right. Let me. I've got a quandary. Half of me wants them to be a similar size to the old Chaos stuff, so as I can get some of these and add them to my Chaos army, because they would not look out of place in the Chaos army that I have.
Yeah. Stylistically, they're very similar to the last Knights and the last Warriors. They're just poses have changed.
And I think what they would do is one of the things that my Chaos army kind of lacks is a dynamicness to it.
Dynamism.
Dynamism. So adding, especially that cavalry. I'd love to add the other stuff, but even one box of each added would give me a substantial boost to the size of my dark army.
Yeah, but if they are upscaled,
well, here's the thing: the other half of me would like to see them upscaled to Sigmar standard.
Embiggened.
Embiggened, because they will be absolutely gorgeous. However, it would mean that I would have to dump my army.
Yeah. For me, what I love most is just the breakup of the uniformity. Just every one of those guys feels like his own champion of chaos.
Yeah.
I like all the fabric.
Yeah.
Working all the fabric in, like, look at that one near Jerry where it's attached to the front of the horse and stuff.
Yeah.
Up around his mouth. I don't know.
The reins.
Yeah. That's all really cool looking.
Yeah, as I say, it's really drawing on a lot of the sort of older artwork for Chaos War. I think is really nice to see. That goes sort of like further back than the sort of newer style that we're seeing for Age of Sigmar. So it's a nice callback to the world that was and stuff, which is really cool.
Lovely. Is that our lot on that one?
I think there might be more.
Was there more?
Yeah, it carries on to the final reveal because this is all going to be part of a getting started set for the new Chaos Slaves to Darkness. And this is the new Chaos Lord, who's on top of his big albino beastie, as you can see there. There's no name for exactly what that creature is. But again, it's kind of like a little bit of a sort of a different chaosy take on the kind of style we've seen for some of the Stormcast Eternal Lords atop their Dracos. And that
I think I shall call that a lino.
A
It's a
lion.
cross between a lizard and a rhino, so it'll be a lino.
I was just going to call it a Trogdor, the Burninator.
Oh, he doesn't have majesty. There's no wings there. He's not a wingling
Fair
dragon.
point.
That's an exceptional model.
And that's the reason I think they're going to be upscaled to Stormcast. I
Yeah.
can see him sitting directly opposite his equivalent.
Yes.
Yeah, when I seen that, I thought, there you go. There's your answer. They're probably being embiggened.
Yeah, do you know what, Games Workshop? Embiggen away.
They'll arrive and they'll all be perfectly scaled to the old stuff, and you'll be so disappointed.
No, only half of me will be disappointed.
Oh, that's all right.
The other half will be overjoyed.
So either way, you're ambivalent.
No, this is one of those moments in wargaming where
win-win.
I'm in a classic win-win situation.
I see.
Doesn't matter what way they release it, you'll be happy.
I can't lose on this one, and do you know what? That makes me feel epic. Right. It's been a big week for awesome models, and now we have some models to really get our discussion juices going. It's time for the 40k news because we have the Sisters of Battle tanks. Now wait, before you look at what you're about to look at,
Okay.
if you're not expecting to see what you're about to see, I'm going to, and you're a fan and someone looking forward to the Sisters of Battle. I'm going to be saying, where the hell have you been living for the last number of years? How anybody could be surprised by what we're about to see is beyond me. Now, whether you like it or not, that's another matter. But the surprise aspect, prepare yourself.
Right. May I?
This is it now. This is the big moment. The Sisters of Battle Rhino.
That's the Exorcist.
That's
Yeah,
the Exorcist. Yep.
Yeah, so there's two tanks here. There's the Exorcist, which is the first one you can see there. It's effectively a back cathedral. And then there's also the Immolator, which we'll look at as well.
Yeah.
They're the two tanks that were
Let's
previewed.
spend a bit of
examine
time on
this.
Yeah, let's spend a bit. You
You have to bear in mind, this is not a new model,
no.
design-wise.
No. The Exorcist has been out for a long time.
So this is just a plastic version of the rocket launching metal version. But yeah,
Yes.
so it is, you know.
Now, can I just say, the Rhino went out of production recently.
Yeah.
Which rhino? Like just regular
The
rhino?
regular Rhino, yeah. So the regular Rhino came off all trade accounts, so it went no longer available.
Oh, surely they're just updating the boxes for the instruction manual.
Now wait. So one of two things could happen: either A, it's just a rebox, okay, which we've seen a lot of,
Yeah.
or B, there's a lot of extra details on this Rhino. You know, like the little iconography,
Yeah.
the little statues and
See,
stuff like that.
that looks
there.
like an up armor kit, like what you get for your Vindicator.
I'm not sure.
It looks beefier to me.
Where are you going with this? Because Jerry says this is just a plastic version of a metal model.
You know, what I'm saying is maybe the Rhino kit has had more upgrades rather than just a
Possibly.
repack.
Possibly.
And could we see a Rhino with potential upgrade sprues for other chapters
Yeah, maybe.
of Space Marines
Maybe.
and things?
I gotta kick it over the organs shooting.
Right,
rockets.
the organs with rockets in them,
I'm totally fine with this.
and the cherubs.
Totally fine with this.
See, I would love to see the sister actually playing it because you can't really see her there.
Uh-huh.
But,
Oh, yeah.
but the original metal one, there is a keyboard in front of her,
Oh,
and
guaranteed it's there.
she is
I'm-
literally playing it. And as she plays, the rockets fire out.
Never even noticed.
D6 per turn.
And she always and she always plays B flat.
If she gets it right, they'll all be flat.
Exactly. So yeah, okay, it gets better. It gets better.
See, you said it gets better.
Like-
I think it gets worse.
Wait, if you thought that the organ was an
Are you
interesting
ready for me to scroll
Yeah,
up?
let's go.
All right. Immolator.
The stained glass windows.
That's kind of cool.
Right, so it's on
Although
the Rhino.
the
it's on the
hedgerow
Rhino
cutter I
chassis
don't
again.
like.
What?
The little hedgerow cutter down the bottom I'm not so fond of.
No?
Little hedgerow cutter. Why not?
It's
Because you don't like cutting down hedgerows.
no, I don't like the design of it.
I like the step in at the round door at the side there.
That's nice.
This is why I'm wondering if the Rhino itself has potentially got an upgrade.
It's a possibility.
You know, it's it'd be cool. The Rhino's an iconic thing. The general shape hasn't changed. I'm glad to see it. You know, so
And I mean, if you ignore the emulator top with
Yeah.
the stained glass window and you just rock to the bottom of it, the fact that they've changed the headlights to the sort of arced version and the housing for the bolter, that could easily go on a Marine one as easily as it does in the sister with the whole
yeah.
you know, God Emperor style of thing anyway. And the smokestacks and that sort of thing.
I'm not going to take
no problem
regular
with that.
rhinos with like stained glassy shaped
Well,
windows
no,
and stuff.
but you ignore that at the top.
Yeah.
But everything below this,
But that's
there's no
styling.
reason why it can't
Yeah,
be.
that styling is Sisters of Battle. It's not like regular Marine styling.
Well, it
Marines,
depends
Marines
on the
love
chapter.
it.
The Marines love all that.
All the Marines have fortress monasteries, all of them. It's 1,000 minimum fortress
I
monasteries.
think we got one up there.
Yeah, there you go. So that's redemption up
See,
there.
I don't know. I look at this and I think that's an upgrade kit. I think you've got some up armor components going on to the side of your Rhino there to actually give you that round door and the step out. And I think the front panel there is just a different front panel that's in on an upgrade sprue. And then the top again is just off an upgrade sprue to let you build the emulator onto it.
Well, what do we think of this whole stained glass thing? You know,
I'm okay with it.
because there's somebody sitting behind that looking out through it.
I'm not a fan
I'm
of
sure
the
you could
stained
probably
glass.
build it without it.
I no, there comes a point right now. I know we all play with tiny little fighting men's, okay? So when we talk about realism and stuff like that, we have to take it with a healthy pinch of salt, right? However, there comes a point where you're throwing things in that really start to jar, and having a big ass stained glass window. I'm not sure it was necessary. I think it took a model that would have been interesting and has potentially made it a little bit stupid.
It's a little bit.
That, and if you are just Joe Average out there, can you paint a stained glass window?
Well, I think
Well,
the
you don't
painting's
need
pretty
to.
easy.
It'd be easy enough
'Cause
to
you just,
paint
like-
that. Contrasts.
No, but you use they have special paints for all their gems and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Use those.
Soul
You could
Stone
try that,
works
yeah,
out.
maybe.
Yeah. But like, I wonder, can it be modeled without it? I'm sure you can always cut it away, but it's a strange, it's a strange thing to have. You know, a stained glass window. Like, like, is anybody in the authors out there? Are you churchgoers? Right? You know, church going is a thing here in Ireland. We used to do a lot of it. And,
These days, not so much. But,
these days, not a lot now, but we used to go do a lot of it. So I know a thing or two about stained glass windows because I have spent many of a Sunday afternoon
Staring
out of one, or at
Yeah.
least attempting to stare out of one. Now, do you know what you can see whenever you're looking out a stained glass window?
The stained glass window?
All. You can see nothing looking out a stained glass window. So I don't understand.
I don't know if that's true because
I imagine behind that stained glass window, she's looking at a little screen and
yeah.
not through the window itself.
you could
A little hololithic display or something?
you
I
may
knew there was a reason we keep you around, Jerry.
I hope she is.
you can see through a stained glass window depending on how stained it is. Like these windows in these churches, remember they're up high. So when you look at them and think there's nothing out there, it's because you're looking at the sky.
Ah. These ones are close, but those ones are far away. Yeah, okay.
These are small, but the ones out there are far away. Small, far away. Ah, forget it.
Any more?
Rolling down, we've also got the Psychic Awakening, Faith and Fury.
Yeah, so this is a new book that continues the story of the Psychic Awakening after the sort of Blood of the Phoenix thing that we saw with the Howling Banshees and the Dark Eldar and the Eldari. And this now introduces some more rules for a whole bunch of Chaos factions and also, mysteriously, one Imperial one. So we've got the Night Lords getting new rules, the Alpha Legion, the World Eaters, the Emperor's Children, the Iron Warriors, and the Word Bearers. And then, for some reason, I'm sure will become apparent in the narrative. You've also got some new rules in there for the Black Templars, which would be quite interesting, unless someone's decided to start to put them in with all the Chaos folk or something, which I'm sure they would very, very much hate. But yeah, so it comes with all those extra rules and bits and pieces for that. You'll have some new scenarios and extra bits and pieces in there as well. And this also comes with a new model. So the new model is for the Chaos Sorcerer that you can see just below that, who is also apparent on the cover as well. So I'm sure we'll have a name for him in the near future. But yeah, a really cool looking new Chaos Sorcerer that you can use in your army, and some new rules for a whole bunch of factions as well, which is pretty cool.
Well, now I'm confused because he doesn't look embiggened. Has he been embiggened?
The Chaos Warriors did get embiggened.
Did they?
Yeah, that's definitely a 32.
To Primaris?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's
standing on a bigger base.
If
Yeah,
you look at
that's
some of the
32,
newer
yeah.
Chaos stuff that came out, the Rubric Marines, the Plague Marines, they're all upscaled slightly.
Yeah.
So imagine then for Faith and Fury, Fury is the Black Templars for being put in that book.
Yes.
And all the Chaos ones have faith that they're following the right Emperor.
Clearly.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The Lord of Death has returned. This can mean
Yes.
only one thing. A Mephiston.
Yeah, so this is a teaser trailer for Mephiston of the Blood Angels, who's going to be coming back, probably primarified, I would imagine, to go and kick ass and take names as a blonde bombshell for the Blood Angels on the tabletop. So yeah, another cool little teaser for that, which would be very cool to see how that sort of transpires, because I'd love to see some more stuff done with the Blood Angels. You know, with you've got the
Stake
blood
through the
rage,
heart.
all that kind of thing for it. Yeah, so that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
But of course, yes, kill them all because they're all vampires. Basically, yeah.
Well, the last one in here is the one that has me really excited, which is the new 2-player starter set for Necromunda.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Let's take a moment to talk about this. Okay. Right.
Have I missed something? Last time I looked at this, I thought this looked great.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There is a downside.
This is 175 quid.
Retail.
As opposed to free if you can get it through the Games Workshop front door without being stopped.
Yeah. It's not that we would ever condone that, kids, but if you find a way, let us know.
And send one
but
over.
it's 175 pounds of game. Now, here's the thing. We live in a world now where Kickstarter has opened this door where people will spend upwards of 200 to 300 quid on a game. You know, I've seen Kickstarters where there's been backers have dropped down a grand on some
Or
toy
more.
soldiers. You know, we see the Kingdom Death retailing for about
400 is what it is on the web store.
$400.
It's $400, so that works out to about $329. I swear I haven't been looking recently.
Yeah, it's $380 now, $390, $394, $395.
Is Brexit kicking in?
Brexit's kicking in. But I don't remember a price outside of Forge World. I don't remember a GW price point at this level before.
Well, if you think the original release for this, I think was in the 75 range. Whenever it was just the board with the flat terrain without the 3D rules or anything in there.
Ben, give us a rundown of the product first. You know, before we hark on too much about the cost of this. What's in it?
Okay, so with this, obviously you get the two new gangs. Well, two newish gangs anyway. So you've got the Corpse Grinders, who will definitely be new to this set, and they're the sort of death cult from underneath the belly of the hive. And they're also going up against the Palanite Enforcers, which have got sort of a lot of the same models that we saw in their initial release, but there's a couple of additional ones with sort of larger shields. They're kind of like big blockers and stuff that we'll be using in the game. You also get the board that you see. You've got the cards, the dice, the accessories, rules for getting started in the game and all that kind of thing, and rules for all the characters on their cards themselves. So that's a nice little quick, easy jump into the game. Then the big thing, which I imagine takes up a lot of the price, is that huge bunch of Zone Mortalis terrain that you get in there. So they've put a whole bunch of extra sprues in there that come with all that terrain as well, which kind of add to the price.
Is the board plastic?
Board's plastic.
Is it?
Yeah.
That board there's plastic. It's not
Yeah.
The
cardboard.
actual game board.
Yes.
It looks very thin.
It looks like cardboard to me.
Looks cardboard to me.
It may look cardboardy, but if it's cardboard, that's 40 pounds of cardboard because they're selling it individually. And
Oh,
that's flat.
And all of the miniatures are also getting...
That's cardboard that they're literally standing on, because I can tell by the reflections and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Right, I tell you
So-
what, I am going to go to the Warhammer community page where they
Yeah.
probably have a post up for this where we can probably see it a bit closer.
do that.
Go and find out, because
Go and find out.
there is a board coming That
that
comes
might
out
be-
the same day.
That might be an upgrade.
Oh my Christ.
You see, right? It does sound.
That would be that. Yeah, that's
that would
like-
be,
It does sound kind of expensive because I can remember the day
does.
that me and you found Necromunda for the first time.
Yes.
Where we sit
40
and
quid.
where we sit and trolled through the yellow pages, phoning places.
Yep. It was.
Oh,
we
like
were like
J.R.
a couple of
Hartley.
J.R. Hartleys. So we were.
Okay, here we go.
But it's even better than that, right? Because we'd been phoning all. Wait, Justin, before we get into that, we'd been phoning all day. And Warren's all like, she tells me she has it. And he was convinced that the person was just standing there with the phone like this, trying to
Pretend
convince
to-
him that it was
yeah.
in stock.
But they did have it.
Yeah.
And then we went and we got it.
But my point is, I don't think we'd ever have bought it if it was 170 quid.
No, we wouldn't have. Even with inflation.
Obviously, inflation comes in.
Wait, hang on a
it's the
second.
type of mat.
That's a mat.
oh, that's even worse. It-
Yeah,
I
it
could-
looks like neoprene.
I could have forgiven them at we're including the board and the bases because that's 50 quid right there, which brings
Yeah.
it down to 125, which is still too much.
Well, there's something weird going on here, though, because if you go back to the other picture,
The top one, or
well,
No,
there's
no,
that.
that one. Yeah,
That's not a mat, because mat's that neoprene. If that's a neoprene or some sort of fabric mat, it shouldn't be as reflective as that.
I don't know. Maybe it's the way they've just lit the shot light.
Or maybe they photographed the prototype.
Possibly. But scrolling down through here, we can get a bit
Let's
of a
find
closer
out.
look
So
at
you get
what
the
we've got in
box.
here.
There's a rule book.
Yeah, you've
Not
got
the
your
full
dice and
rules.
tokens.
Accessories.
full rules to play the game with the things that are there, but if you want the other gangs, you've got to go back and get the other book.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
you've got all of your
Cards.
stat cards, so
Fine.
your blank ones and your pre-gens.
Yeah.
All your tokens.
Yeah.
You've got
No,
Here we go,
Double,
here we
wait. Double-sided playing surface that looks like a Zone Mortalis, complete with a try this for size. It doesn't say what it's made from, but it
Yeah.
definitely looks. If it's a double-sided,
Yeah,
probably a
it's-
double-sided
yeah.
neoprene.
yeah,
You would think.
yeah. You've got one of your gangs here. You do get quite a few guys in there,
Yeah.
which are all your hard plastics. You've got the other one again, quite a few guys in there.
That's a nice gang.
Yeah.
We had a look at these, I think, last week or the week before.
Yeah, these tickle me.
I like that. Yeah.
Mhm. And then you get all of your terrain. And there is a fair dose of terrain in there.
£175. I'm
See, I don't know.
like, that's going to like for our buddies in Australia,
Oh yeah, that's
of which we have many.
Yeah.
Those per sods over.
they're
in
probably looking at what, $350 or something.
I reckon it'll be closer to the $500 because they always end up paying more than double.
Mm.
In real
Yeah,
terms.
I mean,
You know,
like
it's
even stateside, it's probably going to be a lot more expensive.
I don't know, but 100. I just wonder if there comes a point where it just pushes it a little bit too far. You know, just a little bit too far. Did it?
Have you looked at the price of video games recently?
Well, I suppose, Lloyd, you're absolutely right.
I was
yeah.
just looking at. I was just sitting on the Xbox and it popped up. 20% off FIFA 2020. I thought, oh, we'll go on. We look, and then it's a collector's edition. $79.99.
Yep.
right. Do you know what I'm talking?
$89.99.
I'm in when you take that into account, I'm talking utter shite.
Yeah.
You know, like, I would sooner pay 170 quid for that
Aye.
than 70 quid for a video game.
See, this is why for video games on PC, I'm just always checking like cdkeys.com and stuff because they've always got deals on. Like
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, Chaos Being, right? They're trying to charge 40 quid for it base. That's sort of reasonable.
Yeah.
I find it on there for like $7.99.
Holy shit. Do me a favor then. Can you
Yeah.
drop me an email and see if they can get Necromunda?
I think they only do digital.
But if it's a neoprene mat type thing,
Yeah,
you
neoprene.
know, the value aspect for me is going up in the set
it?
because, I didn't want cardboard mat.
Yeah, but I thought we thought
We thought it was plastic, yeah.
We thought it was actual
it's-
plastic
it's not-
tiles because there is a four tile
4-tile set
plastic
coming, yeah.
Yeah, but we're never going to get that for 170 quid with the plastic tiles. Look how much that. What is it? The thing that we thought we'd
Zone
never
Mortalis.
sell any of the
Oh,
Imperial,
No, they
Imperial Roads, and then we opened it and sold it the very same day as we opened it.
yeah, and it
Had
had
to order another one.
2x2 sections in it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like 200 quid or something.
I think 175.
Right. Let's round this up.
Mm.
The two armies in it, spectacular.
Yeah,
Okay. Really like what I'm seeing there.
yeah. If compared to some of the base box gangs you're going to get, I'd say you've probably got about 60 quid's worth of product there.
I've got to say, terrain wise in it, I'm not that impressed.
Let's go back to the picture. I
Yeah,
think it's
I'm-
really cool looking.
It doesn't do a lot for me, I've got to say. I think the terrain that came in the Kill Team set, the original Kill Team starter, was far superior to that.
But this is trying to represent the super close enclosed confines of a hive city.
I will reserve judgment completely, obviously, until we see it in the flesh.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I see no narrative. It just looks like a blocky, like a blocky terrain for terrain's sake kind of a thing. I don't see a structure there. I don't see something that I can actually relate to.
What I want to see is how many scenarios there are in the scenario book of this set, just to see how much playability you're trying to get out of that one set of terrain.
You see, me and you we come at this from completely different ends of the spectrum.
I think
each equally valid, by the way.
But playability, you just take that to your regular gaming table and play 40k with it as well.
Yeah,
but isn't it interesting? Like, I'm looking at that saying, I can't tell what kind of building that is.
Yeah.
He's looking at it and thinking, I wonder how many different scenario
how
combinations.
many combinations can I get out of
The way
this?
you're looking at that makes my blood run cold.
See, this is why you and me always butt heads whenever we're building tables for events. Because you're looking at the beautiful epic story. I'm looking at, can I play around the 3 foot long, 4 foot tall building that Warren's put in the middle of the table?
There's always a way. There's always.
But that's the
Warren's giant edifices, man.
but that's the polarization of how we look at games, Warren.
It just, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
When you look at that, does the fact that
it looks like a bit of a manufactoria with some corridors that they're fighting through. So I mean, like,
it doesn't look like anything, man. It just looks like a few bits of blocky things.
Well, you see, the original set of Necromunda, the thing that first grabbed me and made me start wanting to play this version of the game was they had a really nice piece of narrative in the start of the rulebook telling you what sort of things you were expecting to see within the Underhive. So it's all very densely packed in. So you're not seeing complete structures. It's not like a cityscape as we imagine it. It's everything crushed in to like the Fifth Element pods and stuff. So it's just tiny little spaces that you're trying to move and fight through.
Yeah, but
so you can never get that big picture.
But that's a wide open space on that. There's a wall. There's a part of a wall.
Yeah.
This is all open bar for this pillar with 2 pipes. This is all open behind there. And the back, I presume, is the same. So there's a building type thing here. There's nothing claustrophobic about that map.
Yes, but we have to remember we have hands. And hands have to reach in.
Yeah.
And then you have the actual scale of a house city, which was something I never fully understood until I read that book.
Yeah. Do you know what? This could be a case of it that my own lack of
your imagination of what it is
interest
maybe
in the Underhive.
Oh, fair enough.
My own lack of interest in the Underhive maybe that has me looking at that and I just can't identify with it.
Exactly.
But certainly
and it comes with a funky coin too.
There's a coin in there.
Here, it's just justified its value.
I just want them to release a copy of Necromunda with the rules in it in one place. And we've not seen it yet. Yeah. Even this starter set does not contain what you need to play. If you wanted to come down to the club and play with the Eschers, you've got to go and get the book that's got the Escher gang in it. Because this contains the full rules for 3D movement and the rules for these 2 gangs. And likewise, if you wanted to play 3D Necromunda, you had to buy the core set and then one of the supplemental books, or 2 or 3 of the supplemental. If you want all 6 of the gangs, you had to get 3 books.
Yeah.
Why can't they not just, like the old days, produce a game?
Yeah.
Go, here is the game. Here is all the rules for the game.
I think
Are you hoping for like a Necromunda 2019 compendium?
I think Jerry's
I just want them to release a game.
With the game.
I don't want to buy a D'Angostini part work where I need to buy a book a month for the next 5 months to be able to play a game. I want them to go, here is the game.
I think I would have to agree with Jerry on that, because I'm looking at this and you're saying it's 170 quid and I'm looking like, it's not scaring me too much, but you tell me then I gotta go buy a rake of books.
Well,
it's making me feel a bit.
If you want to play
outside of what's in the box,
if you want to play more than 2 gangs,
But sure, they could have put the rules in because I would still have to go buy the gang models. Why did they have to pinch me for the gang models and the books?
Well, they already made the books.
Oh.
It's just...
But this is what I had wanted the initial starter set for Necromunda to be. with the terrain and everything in there, because the first one had zero real terrain in it.
Yeah,
But they didn't need it because they didn't have the rules for terrain.
Yeah.
See, you had to wait till the next book to buy the
Yeah.
terrain book.
I don't know. This one I look at and go, you know what? I would actually pick this up and the other core set together.
It'll be interesting to see. I know we always say it because the price points are creeping up. It'll be interesting to see if it sells out.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine it will.
I have an idea that it will sell out. We'll just wait and see. Okay, next up, Barnes and Noble Blitzball. Who cares? Let's move on. Next up, SPQR.
Oh,
Bye, Blitzball.
bye Blitzball.
No, really, who cares?
Yeah, it's
it's just pure. It's just pure consumerism. That it's an Barnes and Noble. Here's a
here's a bunch of 6 or 7 man teams.
Well, okay, Ben, you've challenged me then. Well,
Back up to the top.
Right, so fill me in, Ben.
Right. America is a massive market, right? A lot of Americans are playing a lot more board games now.
Yes.
And so Games Workshop have decided to try and put these new versions of their game into these Barnes and Noble stores in order to try and get more people playing games to do with Games Workshop, to do with 40K, and to do with all the kind of things like that.
Yes.
So they've done 2 different interesting things that I think are pretty cool. And from all I've heard about Blitzball, it's a very fun game. It has existed in the past and it's sort of been revamped and stuff. But it's a game that you can basically play with that sort of like nice little handful of miniatures that's about 6 or 7 miniatures a side. And you play the game of Blood Bowl in a much quicker fashion on the tabletop. It's a little bit like playing Rugby Sevens compared to playing Rugby Union or something like that, which is pretty cool. On the other side of things, they've also got some stuff for those people that want to play stuff with sci-fi soldiers in it. So they've got Spaceman Adventures, which they've also done a whole bunch of new kits for that as well. And as you say, yes, this isn't going to be for everybody, but for a lot of people over in America that are playing a lot of board games now and they want to try and get a lot more people playing miniature stuff as well, I think this is a pretty cool idea. As I say, from what I've heard from people that have played Space Marine Adventures and have played Blitzball, they very much enjoyed it. So it clearly works as a product. For those people that obviously can't get a hold of it, that does suck. Yes, that's obviously the case. But there's no reason why you can't go and do something to do with these games in another fashion, buy them online from other people, get someone to send you the game from over in America if you really want to pick it up as well. But yeah, I just think it's a cool idea from them to get more stuff out there.
And it's all of these things are all exclusive to Barnes and Noble?
They are both the Blitzball stuff and the Spaceman Adventures stuff are available in Barnes and Noble stores, and I believe from a couple of other retailers over in America. So I think there's 2 other retailers in America that are sort of selling it. I think it's online only, but
it's like chains, is it?
Yeah, I think it's linked to about 3 different stores over in America. Because someone was talking about the fact that they've managed to pick it up from somewhere else that isn't a bookstore.
Well, Ben, I'm glad you interjected there. I still don't care.
So Barnes and Noble's like a Waterstones.
Poor man's
it's like Waterstones, yeah. So.
But I have a thought on these ones. Are these perhaps products that are not targeted at us as gamers? Is this maybe gaming light for Joe Average on the street to draw them in for that first hit?
Nah.
Well, it's a thought.
No, do you know what this is? This is big retailers in the States getting something exclusive that'll differentiate them in the marketplace.
Same way Target did with D&D.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
This is not for the benefit of consumers.
Yeah.
This is deal making.
So this is pure cold hard capitalism.
It's deal making at the top. You want to get your stuff into our stores, you will do a repack. Do you know what it is? It's Tesco value beans.
But if that's the case, then the games would be shit. And as far as I've heard, the games aren't shit.
Excuse me, Tesco value beans are a very delicious bean and often come out top on the bean surveys.
To bring it to something that I think the locals will understand, if you have a pub, you can sell harp, but you can't sell tenants.
I'm more confused now.
It's a repack. It is basically the only thing it's missing. And I'm surprised that they didn't do that, was replacing the Warhammer. You'll notice it doesn't say Games Workshop on it, which is part of this continuous rebranding process, which I think is great, by the way. But the only thing it's missing is the Barnes and Noble logo on it. It is basically a repack. Now, you could say that it has been potentially designed for a complete novice market, but hang on a second. Every Games Workshop store for the last 20 odd years has had their product for the novice market. It's called the 2-player starter set.
What's the problem here?
But the difference
problem is
There was never a problem with Space Crusade and stuff being done through MB Games and things like this.
No, but the world of consumerism is changing, and the reason it's changing is Amazon. You know, it's not Games Workshop's fault, I think, in all of this. It's Amazon. So these Barnes and Nobles and everything else, they need to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. So more and more, they will look for exclusive kind of products that are tailored. Do you know what? Maybe it's a great thing, right?
Well, I would
but
compare
I look
this.
at it and I just think to myself,
See, I would compare this, and it's similar but not the same because it's not exclusive to whenever X-Wing made it into Waterstones.
Yes, but it's
having that mainstream high street presence.
Yeah, it's your perspective that's maybe just like it's from your point of view. You're thinking, blah, blah.
yeah.
But from somebody who's never seen this stuff before, they're, well, what the heck's this? This is really weird.
Because
there's a blue guy, and there's a yellow guy, and there's a red guy. It looks really enticing.
And they'd maybe never even think of walking into a Warhammer store.
A box of 3 minis in it.
Go, Ben. Go.
Well, I wouldn't buy it.
The thing with these things is that they're push fit together. They're pre-colored plastic, so there's no emphasis on you having to paint them. Or they have put up these new paint sets that you can pick up, and obviously that kind of thing. So the idea is that you're meant to pick these up and just play the game effectively, and then they've probably got some leaflets in there like, hey, you can go and move on and do something else if you want to. And as I say, I think there's no harm in these existing. I think they're great, and if they make people happy and the people who play the game enjoy them. And it's a new venture for them into sort of an interesting game that isn't just playing a video game or a computer game, and they want to play something that's different from a normal traditional board game, like Ticket to Ride or whatever. This is a cool new step up for people because it looks interesting, probably plays quite well, has a snazzy look to it, and everything like that. You've got that competitive thing going on as well, and the cooperative thing with Spaceman Adventures too. So
Ben, you're absolutely right. There is no harm in it, but it's not news. Do you know what I mean? It's like, ugh, who cares?
I think this is just a case of this might look like it's for us, but it's not for us.
No, but it doesn't. Like, who cares? Like, this has been debated on our site. It's been debated on sites all over the place. Who cares? It's
someone who's 6.
It's an inferior product.
No.
You just
Someone
let
who's
it be.
6 is dancing around going, I want that.
Yeah, let them, and that's fine.
That's what they're doing.
Go and do it again.
No,
get your camera up and do it again.
Are you out of breath? Because
Yes.
I'd be out of breath. I'm very happy for these things to exist. But like, how long have we been talking about this?
Talking, arguing.
This is time that could be spent looking at Germanic Hordes with their willies out with Justin in some real news about the SPQR.
I'm just going to specifically say though, just quickly, like Christmas is coming up, and if you're going to be playing a game with get people into it, then talking about these kind of expansions and the stuff that exists in these, only obviously are in America, it makes sense to talk about it and get it out there to people and talking and introducing more people to stuff. Because there may be people that like these games. And maybe they see this and they think, hey, my son or daughter might really enjoy playing this or something. Or my friends at work might enjoy playing this over lunchtime or something because Blitzball takes 30 minutes, 40 minutes to play, something like that.
But Ben,
so I think it's a good...
Ben, you know that everybody's going to be buying the new Necromunda.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to look at this and go, and I know this might sound really harsh. I've not played the games. I've not seen the rules. Is this the ultimate dumbed down way to get into the game for someone?
Look, there's no issue with that as well. I have no issue with these things being there. What I take issue with is the fact that we're making that such a big deal has been made of it. I want to move past it. I'm looking at it and going, yeah, nice. Yeah, let's.
So you're wanting to move on and get this game done.
Yes.
Nobody else open their mouth. Let's think about Germanic willies and
yes, Germanic willies to the rescue.
Warlord games here.
Right. Okay. So in other news, right? Germanic Hordes have now been released for SPQR. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love Germanic Hordes because they beat up Romans, and I love Romans because they beat up Germanic Hordes.
Yeah, so this is a new set of different characters and stuff they've done for SPQR. So they've all been sort of like reboxed and done in their new material that they've been using, which I believe is like resin and stuff, isn't it? That they've been using.
Spincast resin.
But it looks very, very cool indeed. You've got a whole bunch of stuff here. So you've got the characters leading the way, which is very cool. I always love seeing anything to do with the Germanic Hordes and that kind of thing, because it's one of the things that's been really fascinating looking at sort of like ancient warfare period, and especially when you see games set within the sort of period of SPQR on the tabletop, is you've got those really nice uniform Romans, which obviously people love and enjoy painting and things like that. And then you've got the slightly more wild and crazy looking barbarian Germanic hordes and things that are, hitting on the gates of Rome and that kind of thing. And I think it's really nice to see that really good contrast between stuff, especially when it comes to painting and playing around with brighter colors and that kind of thing when you see their uniforms. So it's really cool to see them doing some stuff for this. And with this release, you've got a little bit of the sort of like that backbone of the army. So you've got the basic warriors, you've got archers and some cavalry as well. I haven't put them in here, but there's also some skyclad warriors. So if you want to get snipping, Justin, there's some options there too, which is very cool.
Oh, so there is Germanic Willies, is there?
Where are the skyclads? Have we got them in here?
He said he hasn't put them in here.
We'll have to get them.
I feel safe today.
You could open the final image, however, if you want to see. You can't see their tiny, tiny todgers, but they are there in that rather large 1,000 denarii point Germanic warband. But yeah, it's another cool, interesting sort of like look at creating some new stuff for SPQR and sort of skirmishy gaming in the ancient world, as it were. But yeah,
I'm impressed
really
by
cool
the very
stuff,
first hero on the horse. I'm mostly impressed by the horse being able to keep its legs upright with the size of the fellow on the back.
Oh yeah, there
they are, Justin. There they are, the Skyclads.
It's funny. Some of the ones down at the club are just really annoyed because every time the Skyclad warriors come in, they sell out and they're just sitting there going, "Damn it, I wanted them."
I have. Do they not realize that you've pre-ordered it every week now that they've come in?
I have not.
Man, I went out there and found 3 pairs of broken clippers that had just been completely worn out. On the top, I have 2 things to mention about SPQR while we're on.
Right.
If you are a Cult of Games member, this weekend we are doing 30% off at all SPQR products. Okay, so if you too want to get a complete skyclad army to inflict your flappy justice onto your opponents the way Justin does, this is your weekend to get a proper price cut.
Well done, Mark. This is the one you were on about, Jerry.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's me on a horse.
Yep, yellow
it
belly.
totally is, yeah.
It's very interesting. I do like the look of the Germanic tribes. There's a couple of different ones there, but I'm damned if I can remember their names.
Second thing I've got to mention on this is Jerry has come up with a beautiful way to do flesh, Justin. Okay, so whenever you actually come to do your fantasy skyclad army, Jerry can actually take you through a fast and sensual method of painting the flesh.
Look, that's not how I paint.
It's cork brown and red beige.
It's fast, it's rough, and I finish way too early.
Cork brown, red beige, spot of purple.
Go back to these pictures. Will this give me what sort of skin tone will that give me? This sort of skin tone, or what are we talking about?
You'll see on XLBS
yeah, you can see
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
XLBS tomorrow.
Okay.
He's got this lovely skin tone. So, and Justin, I tell you, man, I will get you those 2 paints and one of the nice kind of like burgundy purple paints from the contrast range.
Thanks, Warren.
To help speed you up.
Quite okay.
And I'll get you the insane detail brush from Army Painter.
Is there any such thing as insane detail clippers? Because these are tiny, tiny guys.
Yeah. Here, dude. We all need to be represented in gaming on the tabletop. I am with you, Tiny Todger Man.
So these guys here could fight what? Imperial Rome then? Is that who these guys can battle?
Yeah.
Can these guys also battle the earlier Romes then as well?
Oh yeah. Oh, you're quite well off when you start hitting Celts and Gauls and Germanic tribesmen because they were Johnny on the spot for many, many years. So you could throw them into Rome. You could throw them into Carthage, even if you really wanted to.
The only thing you'd probably have to change is some of the looted equipment that they're carrying around.
Yeah,
but that's about it. So
are these the guys who eventually then sacked Rome?
That was other barbarians.
Yeah, that was the.
They were dead
Goths.
by then.
So Visigoth, Ostrogoths were both further east than Germania. So
right, I've got it right.
Balkans,
okay.
North Balkan.
I was learning a little bit. Right, some dude on YouTube was doing this thing about Rome and how there are about 5 or 6 people alive today who theoretically could be the emperor of Rome.
Nice.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So Rome established itself, right? Went through a bunch of leaders. And then at one point then divided its leadership up into sub-leadership because the empire had got too big for one person to rule. Then Constantine, I believe, brought it all back together again.
Yes.
Okay, for a while. At which point he created Constantinople in the east,
Yeah.
which basically moved the Roman Empire from the west, from Rome, and put the Roman Empire's capital in Constantinople.
Did it though?
Turkey.
Did it though, or had the Roman Empire split into two at that point?
No.
But just after that.
It was after that it split in two. So it then did split in two, where you had your Roman Emperor in the east and your Roman Emperor in the west.
Right.
Okay. One of them wore them weird stripy socks and their feet rolled up whenever they got killed. But anyway, I digress.
Are you not thinking of the Wicked Witch?
Oh, sorry. Yes, it was the Wicked Witches.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting then is you then have this timeline that goes like this. And what happens is it goes like this, and then Rome gets sacked by the Goths.
Right.
At which point Rome kind of doesn't exist from that point on a little bit. So your true Romans are then your Byzantines. Okay, so the Byzantines are pretty much what we would have expected. They considered themselves to be the Romans.
Right.
And then the Roman Empire in the east then fractured into three kind of sub-factions.
Right.
And it's... I don't have all the details. I know I'm going to leave many of you wondering, so what the fuck was the point of all of this?
Basically, everybody out there in TV land, if you want to find out how this story of Warren ends, make sure and jump in on the Cult of Games Discord, because the Juvies are going to be pummeling Warren relentlessly and pumping him for information.
Yeah, what has happened is that Warren has discovered how amazing historical stuff is when it comes to Rome and stuff like that, and then has realized it's far too much of it to fit into one brain.
Yeah, it's really huge, and that's why the little Germanics or little cocktail sausage dudes,
Okay.
But anyway, it's Rome. Rome was interesting because I always looked at Byzantines or
Busies.
Busies.
Byzantium.
I always looked at Busies and wondered, what are you?
They're basically
What
the last
are
remnants
you?
of Rome.
But they are Romans. They are Romans. And and that's quite late because that's after Charlemagne. I believe there's still Byzantines and stuff. So, Charlemagne was the last emperor of Rome. Okay. As far as I'm aware.
Holy Roman
Holy
Empire.
Roman.
That's different.
So that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So Charlemagne was the last emperor of. So he basically the Pope thought that Charlemagne was a cool dude and said, "You're a cool dude. You can be the emperor of Rome."
There's a reason Warren doesn't work as a college lecturer. I hope you realize this now, folks.
But there was a lady who was in charge of the Eastern Roman Empire.
Yeah, but
Empress Catherine or something like that. There, we'll call her Cat, right? So there's the Empress Cat, and then there's the Charlemagne. So Charlemagne was the main man in the West.
Would they ever have faced these Germanic tribes that we've been talking about?
But wait, I'm getting to that bit. They had a chance to recombine the Roman Empire. Because if the Charlemagne had got it on with the cat,
here's the interesting thing.
But it didn't happen.
No, I could be wrong. I could be butchering history like him.
Yeah.
But the Holy Roman Empire was very Germanic.
Incredibly Germanic.
Okay. The Holy Roman Empire was basically sort of Germany before Germany. It was like that region.
Okay.
There was no Germany or anything at the time.
Yeah.
So they didn't need to butt up against these guys because they essentially were what these guys turned into.
Okay.
They didn't need to be those guys because they were essentially what those guys turned into.
Something like that.
Some dude on YouTube can clarify.
Here's the other interesting bit. is Rome like there is a pope as well as Charlemagne?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Pope was the one that granted Charlemagne the emperorship.
Rome wasn't inside the Holy Roman Empire, or was inside the Holy Roman Empire?
I don't know, but it wasn't built in a day.
But
And
we've certainly butchered the history in one
We
day.
do need to kind of figure out at which point the holy part entered the Holy Roman Empire. You know, was it early years or late years? I don't know.
See, next time you open your mouth, a set of notes would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, next in the news.
Anyway, so 30% off all SPQR this weekend. There are Romans in there, if I can identify them, but they're in there. And so F-bomb times 2, yeah. And so they're in there, 30% off. Get your Germanics. Justin is still definitely going to either get given or create a fantasy skyclad army.
Oh crap! Christmas is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, man. So I will give you the gift of myrrh, and
Is that what you're calling the first box of guys?
And Jerry's going to give you the gift of realistic fleshiness. You're going to love it, man. Right,
the next one's cool.
War Games Atlantic have popped out with some Halfling Militia previews.
Yes. So from little dudes to little dudes, here's some new plastic. Well, the new plastic set of Halfling Militia, completely available to pre-order from War Games Atlantic. We've talked about these guys in the past, and we talked about some of their sci-fi stuff as well, which has been really cool, and obviously their skeletons. But then now this is the new 40 miniature set that you can get from War Games Atlantic for putting together a really cool Halfling army to use in any of the myriad of fantasy games that exist on the market.
Can I just say, to all of the War Games Atlantics out there and the Vitrixes and everybody else, God bless you, each and every one. 40 minis in a box. You'll have people in Games Workshop going, is that a trade box? That must be a wholesale box. For 40 minis in one box.
These guys look
£25.
25 quid.
These guys look like a branch of Rome.
Well,
Yeah, a little bit of flavor of that.
they've got a couple of different headdresses and helmets in there, so depending on kind of how you're aiming for your miniatures, you could tweak them a bit.
Have
They're
I've ever told you guys about Rome?
Yes.
All right, okay. No, I like these, Ben. I like these.
The thing I really liked about this is that we're kind of seeing them do halflings a bit more. Now, obviously, these guys are the militia, but when we're kind of used to seeing them as effectively those little country bumpkins, you know, with their big bellies and eating pies and stuff all the time, we're actually seeing some guys here that actually look a little bit more down and dirty, a little bit more grim, a little bit more fighty, which I think is really cool. And it should mean that we get to create some really interesting looking sort of dynamic halfling forces and stuff on the top.
Which one ate all the pies?
Well, clearly the champion always gets to eat all the pies.
So,
See, I was about to do a gag, but I'm not going to now.
okay,
No.
good. That's probably. I'm scribbling all over the running orders here, so it's all going to pot.
How much
Yeah.
sugar have you had today, Warren?
I love it. I love it. Right. What game for a fantasy halfling army? I've got to say,
Kings of War.
halfling armies are not exactly high up there in the list of fantasy armies I'd like to recreate.
I'd pop these guys into Kings of War.
So would I. Also, they've been sculpted and scaled to match Westphalia's
I think you've got a point.
halflings. So,
But do halflings come in mass?
oh yeah.
Do they?
Does the priest tell them off for that?
Depends if he catches them or not.
Oh my word!
Sorry, dudes. Okay, right. Next up.
What?
Now, this is a teaser, right? Now, so Game Start Edizioni have a Dungeon and Town teaser. I'm hoping there's a little bit more to this than the teaser I saw earlier in the week.
Right.
Ben, what can
So-
you tell me?
So there isn't too much more, obviously, in terms of images or anything. It's all still in very early stages. But this is pretty cool because we quite like the guys at GameStart Edizioni, and they do some really fun stuff. They did the really cool Fantasy World Creator, which did a whole bunch of dungeon tiles, and they've done the Future World Creator as well. But they're now going to be moving on to do some 3D elements to try and elevate your games, pun, on the tabletop. So as well as doing a whole bunch of different things to create levels using the tiles they've already got and some new 3D pieces, they're also going to be doing a whole bunch of cardboard stuff that will allow you to make tables, bookcases, doors, trees, and all kinds of different other type objects that you would find in the fantasy world be it as part of a dungeon or as part of a town. So this means that we're going to be getting that little bit of like 2.5D, that kind of level up to the stuff we've already got from them in the future, the Fantasy World Creator set, and sort of giving a little bit more of a dynamic look to the tabletop, which I think is really, really cool. And it means that as well as this being useful for those people that want to create really interesting dungeon delves and that kind of thing, you could also potentially use this for a lot of stuff to do with your skirmishing and stuff as well, which I thought was really good. One of the interesting things they have said is that obviously all this is going to be made out of cardboard, which is a really interesting thing. So I would have thought we'd have seen a little bit more sort of like plasticky stuff potentially coming into the room, but everything is going to be made out of the cardboard material that they've already been using. And it's all going to be rewritable. Sorry, I lost my words there. Rewritable, like all the rest of their stuff. So you can scribble on it and do what you like to it, color bits in and that kind of thing as well. So this just seems like a really interesting sort of new direction for the guys at GameStart, doing some 3D aspects. And hopefully they've done it for the fantasy realm. They're going to be doing it for the sci-fi one as well, which would be very cool. So,
I wonder if it'll interlink like, sort of core spacey type stuff. Where
Yeah.
it interlocks.
What I was
Interlink.
wondering is, right, so the original Fantasy World creator, beautiful product. The black and white product.
Oh yeah, really nice style to it.
Really, really beautiful. And then they did the sci-fi creator one, and we had a good old look through that. And those guys have some texture talent. You know,
Oh, yeah.
they have a talent for the full color. When it comes to a 2.5D dungeon, and I know this is probably a big ask, but I wonder, and it would be on my wish list, if they would do a full color version. Because I reckon these guys could nail a full color 2.5D dungeon.
See, would you want them redoing what they've already done and redoing it in color then?
Just a reskin of it, but in actual color.
So you want
for
all your
caverns,
flat
all the
components that
textures.
are already done,
So
redone in color,
redone in color,
and then your
with beautiful
2.5D in color on
textures,
top.
and then the 2.5D stuff in color on top.
Maybe it's a lot of work.
Well, do you know what it does? It throws me back to the Hero Quest days, because one of the things I loved about Hero Quest was, for me, the original 2.5D dungeon.
It was the Blitz Bowl of your day.
It was.
Oh,
It was. But it was decent. It was never... Hero Quest was never a cut-down version of a game. Things only went up from Hero Quest. They never went down to Hero Quest. So, there. But do you remember the 3D furniture in Hero Quest? No,
Yeah.
it was a combination of card and plastic.
Yeah.
yep.
But, you know, Hero Quest was wonderfully done. You know, but back in the day, you saw the painted minis on the box, but you never felt the need to paint it. So,
No.
you know, it wasn't necessary. If these guys can do this well, and we know they can do the texturing really well,
Yeah.
I just think that they could nail it and do the most beautiful, full-colored, high-detailed textured dungeon.
See, I don't know, because
set.
I really love the look of that black and white style, and I would love to see it just continue with that for the fantasy set.
Yeah,
and keep
but-
it separated
but
that way.
But for how long are you going to like the look of that black and white style before you look at it and go, I'm getting a bit sick of it now?
But
you
I
can say
think-
the
I
same
think-
thing for a colored set.
I think
Yeah,
it's a
no,
little. I think it's a nice point of difference from, because obviously we've got Battle Systems who've done their own dungeon set, and I think that's a really cool one that they've created, and that's obviously in full color. And then you've got this more sketch design that allows you kind of like go back to that sort of old school dungeon crawling that you would have got back in the day. And I think having that style and that sort of sketchy mentality to everything, I think is really, really cool. And so carrying that over into the 3D aspects of this, I think as well, would be really cool. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Be different.
next up, we have some news from the far side of the planet. The Upside Down dudes at Battle Kiwi. Did you know that flamingos only eat upside down? I learned this very recently off
Do we need to
YouTube.
know this?
This is important.
Can we put a parental lock on YouTube?
I didn't realize this, but a flamingo only eats with its head literally upside down, right? And the flamingo in its mouth has
How did we get onto this?
It has erectile muscles, Justin, right? Which fill with blood to change the shape of the interior of its mouth to allow it to eat while upside down. Meanwhile,
like,
Battle Kiwi,
like an inverted tongue or something.
I don't know.
I'm so confused right now.
I will turn you upside down later.
No.
And you can try and eat it.
No.
Right, Battle Kiwi
Yes.
have created some Black Seas dashboards.
Yeah, so they've done some new dashboards that you can use your ships, and they've got some accessories as well for the world of Black Seas, which is obviously the new naval game from the guys at War Games. We've actually got some Let's Plays that went up. There's another one that went up this week as well, which is very, very cool, between Jerry and Lance, which is nice to see. But these, I think, are looking very nice. I think it would be really cool to see these done a little bit more in-world with a bit of a paint job. Get a little bit of a varnish on there as well to make it look like something in the captain's quarters. Put some sort of like gilding and gold into the lettering and things. I think would be really fun. And then I'll kind of like base it within the world as you're playing the game. This kind of tidies things up on the tabletop. So you've got all your cards, all the bits and pieces you need for that. You've got ways to monitor the way that your sails have been raised and lowered and that kind of thing too. And obviously ways to track the wounds as well on your ships, which is really good. So yeah, some nice little sort of like interesting bits of kit that you can use to kind of embellish your games of Black Seas if you want to take it to the next level.
I really like them because they've even they've magnetized the corners so that whenever you fold it all away, it all stacks up and keeps all of the tokens inside flat.
Yes, so you can sort of save your game.
Oh, Battle Kiwi, I love you.
Oh no, you wouldn't save your game. You play your game.
That's a nice piece of innovation.
That is a nice touch, and that means when Ben's poltergeist gets a hold of it, it doesn't all just fly apart.
Exactly.
It was all that banging on Ben's side, was
That's
it?
Ben's polty.
Yeah.
What do you call her? Have you named it yet?
It's called Pipes 2.
Pipes too. Oh, nice.
Okay, next up, we have Small World of Warcraft was spotted at the BlizzCon.
Yeah, so BlizzCon was last week, and a lot of people will know Small World. It's a very awesome board game where you play as different races throughout the game, not just within yourself and with the group, and you sort of continue to fight and take over the world, and then one of your races dies off, and then you take on another one. So it's a really cool sort of entry-level game that a lot of people have played. Now, obviously, Days of Wonder and Asmodee are teaming up with the guys at Blizzard to create Small World of Warcraft. And from what we can look at it anyway, from what we've seen here, and this little bit of news, this little bit of a snippet, is that it's going to be effectively a little bit of a reskinning. So you're going to have a new look to the board and stuff, which kind of brings it within the world of Azeroth. And then you've also got all the different factions from the world of Warcraft brought into the game as the different races, with some of the powers that we've seen from the original game, as well as some of the abilities and things that get tied to them as well. So this should just be another interesting sort of like gateway game for a lot of people to get stuck into the world.
Next.
Really cool.
No, wait.
Hang on.
Wait, I've actually played Small World, and the game itself's really good, but I don't know if it needs skin.
I don't know. I like the idea of it being skinned to World of Warcraft.
Bollocks.
Stop.
It's utter
No,
bollocks.
stop,
It's a
Warren.
cash-in.
Stop. Yeah,
a total
fine.
cash-in.
It's fine to be a cash-in.
It's a cash-in.
It's fine to be a cash-in.
It brings nothing to our industry. Should be ashamed of themselves. Two successful pieces of IP basically just smushed together.
It's got Murloc though.
I am quite content for this because
Bollocks.
Stop for 2 seconds, and I'm about to curse at you because I'm getting annoyed.
Well, make sure
There
you
is
give
a
me time to
great-
write it down.
Right, here's something for you.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a friend loves World of Warcraft. You
Yeah.
think they'd like video gaming, but you haven't been able to sell any game to them. This having the World of Warcraft skin over the top is an easier sell to someone who's into that world.
Bollocks.
Is this because we've seen Monopoly skinned to death?
This is exactly that same crap taking place here.
I am quite content with this.
That is bollocks.
And Risk
What-
getting skinned to death.
What a load of shite right there.
I'm quite content with it.
The difference
cash in.
The difference being is that while Monopoly and those kind of and Risk, example, are games from a bygone era that are kind of crappy and no one really wants to play them anymore.
I like Risk.
Small World is a damn good game, and so having it be a good entry point for people is pretty good idea.
This taints it.
No, it doesn't taint it.
Yeah, it
It's one of the
absolutely
cool-
taints it.
No,
it
no, it
taints
doesn't.
it with a sheer
No, it
lack
doesn't.
of
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
mundane.
No, it doesn't.
Now I'm
Innovation.
calling bollocks.
Mundane uninnovation. They may as well have just stuck Star Wars
Giving,
on it.
hang on,
That's
hang on.
a good
You've seen
idea.
Star Wars Risk
If-
and all the other stuff. I don't hear you complaining about those.
We just did.
Well, but it's not been on the news.
Look,
If-
I am quite content with this.
If
Bollocks.
this right, a lot of people's first in sort of if they saw a lot of these skin games, be they Monopoly or be they be Scrabble or Risk or something like that, and they come to play the game and they think, yeah, this is okay, but it's not really for me. Maybe they have it and it sticks in their cupboard for a long, long time.
Yes, but Ben,
This-
how many
listen to
skins
me,
is there
listen to me,
before it
listen,
becomes a skin
listen.
too far? I know for Justin it's 4, but
Listen.
it's
Listen, now if they come to this from World of Warcraft, as Justin was saying, they pick up this game and they play it. and they really like it because it's Small World, which is, as we all know, is a damn good game. This is a much better version of a gateway into the board game world than it could have potentially been if it was reskinned. And now listen, one more thing, right? I've lost my point now.
Oh, yeah. That's because you didn't have one. You were going to tell a lie.
It's not a lie.
Look, I am not going to reward. I'm not going to reward Blizzard or Asmodee for coming up with a mundane, predictable cash-in. Right? This is the premier flipping show on the internet. We should be rewarding innovation and miniatures with willies.
One of the other key elements of having a show like try and get more people to go as an entryway into and this is exactly what this is. It's an entryway into the hobby. Yeah, yes, it might, listen. Yes, it might be a cash-in, but it's a cash-in that is potentially going to work and get a lot more people playing a lot more board games and enjoying a better quality of board game. Obviously, everyone's allowed to play whatever they want, but this is a better quality of board game, even if it does have a skin over the top.
Are you telling me?
If you don't like skinning stuff over Warhammer,
wait. Look, you can prove me wrong in a second. But are you telling me when you get two of the largest gaming companies in their field, so the largest gaming company in board games teams up with arguably one of the largest gaming companies in video games, that between them, they couldn't have come up with a unique and inspirational piece of gaming intellectual property?
So this is only the first offering.
So World of Warcraft has already been on the tabletop as a larger game that was done by Fantasy Flight Games a long, long time ago. But the problem with the game is that it was too vast, too expensive for a lot of people to pick it up and make it part of their permanent collections in order to continue playing it. This is going to be made using Small World, which is like a £25 game, a £20 game potentially, which, as I say, I completely agree with you that it's a skinning of a game. It's a big money grab, but it's also a good investment for somebody who potentially wants to play something linked into a license they love. So I think this is a perfectly fine idea for people to have on the tabletop.
I think both companies should show more respect to the art of game design.
And I think this is only their first offering.
I don't care. Between these two companies, they're worth, maybe a couple of billion.
And who knows what they're working on next. This could just be that first, let's see how it looks to work together.
It wasn't needed. The market already has Small World. It didn't need that.
And who's to say they haven't actually went in and tweaked the game system? We haven't seen anything for that yet to actually see how they would retranslate it to play as a more themed game for World of Warcraft.
Right, I can't wait to see which game developer puts his name down as the man that tweaked Small World. Well done. You'll get an award this year, won't you?
They probably won't tweak it. Like,
there's an Origins award for you there. I tweaked Small World.
Every time they tweak Monopoly, every time I'm going to tweak Monopoly. Every time they skin Monopoly, I seen a really dopey one recently. It's the same game.
Is this the one where you cheat? There's a Monopoly.
Oh, well, then they've tweaked it.
Yeah. They've about 100 Monopolies. But look, Monopoly's a separate thing.
I see a game of Small World coming out and a new version of it coming out. They always advance the game mechanics. They always play with the game mechanics.
Two leading lights in our industry.
I think you're being far too rough on this, Warren.
Two leading lights in the industry, right? They have, to some degree, a duty to the art of game design, right? That is a spectacular piece of laziness. Spectacular piece of laziness.
You're being way too rough on this one.
I don't think I am. I think they need called out. I think
you call them out. I'm going to sit here and say you're wrong.
I think absolutely they need called out. You know, it was like, oh, let's get together. Oh, we can make a few quid here. Hey, do we have to do any work? Well, we need to get the tweaker game designer in.
I weep.
It's a step up from last year where they went, we're going to be putting Diablo 4 on a mobile phone.
Oh, that's true, yeah. So, next. Right, Critical Role. Oh, no, this is good. Critical Role's Vox Machina.
Vox Machina.
Vox Machina. I don't even know the name of it. But it's been picked up by Amazon. They were originally going to do 10 episodes. Amazon has paid them to do another 14 on top of that. So I think it's going to be 24 episodes.
Yes. So this was originally part of the Kickstarter that raised $11,385,449.
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents. But as things are going, they continued with the production of this. And they have now, obviously, as you say, been picked up by Amazon, and it's going to be available through Amazon Prime, hopefully towards the end of 2020. Now, just to reiterate something that has come up in sort of like the updates and that kind of thing, and on Twitter and that kind of thing as well. People who backed through the Kickstarter and all that kind of thing are still going to get access to 2 sort of Prime episodes before things come out through Amazon, and they'll also have access to the entire of the first season before anybody else, totally for free as part of the backing for this. But obviously, as you can see, things have expanded a little bit more, and this is going to be available from I think it's a much bigger budget, obviously, from this one because it's Amazon Prime. They're going to be funding a lot more effort into the animation, and of course, voice casts are going to be able to come back and do a lot more stuff like that, and obviously the writing side of it as well. And as a lot of people will know, I'm a big fan of Critical Role and what they do, and so it'd be really awesome to see their stories on the tabletop. On the screen, because these guys are phenomenal voice actors and they have an amazing sort of world and story that's been developed by Matt Mercer and stuff. So yeah,
I don't know. I think as a backer, I should be getting a dividend from the Amazon deal. I think you funded it. Therefore, I own it. My sense of self-entitlement means that I should get it. No, congratulations to the guys at Critical Role. I think it's absolutely awesome.
It's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns out like.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting. I really love the Critical Role stuff. I don't love all of it. Some of it just doesn't have any interest to me at all. But I do enjoy the more fantasy D&D elements, because myself and my daughter sit and watch it, and we're just absorbed by it, because I love obviously professional voice actors can bring something to a role-playing game that many of us will never experience in the reality of a role-playing game. We can all do it, but every one of us knows that when we're doing voices, we look like dicks.
Yeah, and then you have Jerry sitting there going, "Oh no, it's all fine. Just throw the halfling."
Yeah, so it's nice to be able to watch it. I do enjoy it.
Is this a storyline based on their adventures, or is it?
So the 2 seasons. Well, the first season around their sort of like Whitestone and Briarwood arc, which was part of like the sort of middle of the story that they told in the first adventure they did for Critical Role as Vox Machina. The second series, I would imagine, would carry on from that and continue things on beyond what happened with the Briarwood arc into what was called the Chroma Conclave, which was I won't put any spoilers forward, but it had dragons in it because it's Dungeons and Dragons. So it'll be cool to see how that comes together and what they do with that. And as you say, 2 big seasons of an animated show is pretty massive stuff. And hopefully, if it does well, they'll continue to do a lot more after that as well, which will be really good. But I think. Sorry?
Go on, Ben.
I was going to say, one of the things that I think is really key about this is that it shows, like, D&D had a cultural impact, obviously, back in the 70s and 80s, which was absolutely massive, and D&D has never really gone away. But I think one of the big things about this that it shows is just how much of an impact D&D is having once again.
Hang on here. So, I think I wonder, if people actually remember the 70s and the 80s, like D&D, I think Stranger Things has given people the impression that D&D had an impact back in the 80s. The reality is D&D back in the 80s was played, but it was pretty underground, and its biggest news stories at the time was for devil worship.
Yeah, well, what I mean to say is that obviously it had a potentially divisive impact in the sort of popular culture. But one of the things that was key about it was that it was allowing people to tell stories in a little bit of a different way on the tabletop and allow them to bring a lot of the stuff from wargaming things into more storytelling and narrative purposes. Now I see the influence in it in a larger scale, in a more of a pop culture sort of like setting. Yeah. We're seeing things expanded on once again, because D&D has now gone like absolutely insanely apocalyptic at the moment. It's crazy.
It's astronomical.
I have a question. So we know these guys have done stuff for years, Ben. Is there a certain point in their content creation where you would recommend people would maybe drop in and start watching before this comes out to actually catch up?
Yes, there's 2. There's 2 must-watches for Critical Role. Number 1 was one that they did. I think it was a one-shot from...
Was it Honey Heist?
No, not at all. No, it was a one-shot. I think it was from World of Warcraft or one of those video game jobbies. And then the second one was the Wendy's burger flipping one.
You do know Wendy's actually made a role-playing game.
You can't watch that one, unfortunately, anymore.
What do you mean we can't watch that one anymore? What, they took it down because they were shilling?
Yeah, it's got taken down because of the backlash of it. So you can't watch that one online. But if I was going to say,
where is the sense of fun in the world? For God's sake, this cancel culture shite is really getting up my nose. I'm having a great episode here, but this is seriously getting up my nose.
You kind of letting the grognard loose today.
No, can a company not even have a bit of fun? Flip's sake, it's just burgers. The company makes a little bit of cash to try and help them get along and to keep the lights burning. They do something fun. Now, I looked at that Wendy's RPG.
It actually looked pretty decent.
Work went into that. It was funny. Would I play it? Hell no. Would I eat burgers? Every day.
You do realize Wendy's is now coming to the UK? I'm
do
looking forward to the bacon eater.
Wendy's, I welcome you with open arms. Send Matt Mercer over with burgers and the RPG, and he can. We will quite happily have him in here, and we can burger fight all day long. This cancel culture crap is really getting up my nose.
So you can go and watch Campaign 2, which is with a different group called the Mighty Nine, and follow along with that.
Nine.
You can also watch a lot of their sort of like catch-up stuff that they've done as part of their YouTube channel, and the podcasts are all available for the first campaign as well, so that's a good option. If you want to watch something that's a little bit different but gives you a flavor of exactly how Critical Role play things out on the tabletop, there's a 4-part series that's on YouTube at the moment. I think the 4th part is coming out next week, called Undeadwood, which uses the Savage Worlds rules, and it is really, really good fun. And it's something a little bit different, so you might want to go and check that out as well.
Right. Undeadwood, Justin, you'll be getting the clippers out for that.
That's like the zombie version of Jedwood.
Yes. Right. We've got a couple of Kickstarters, right? Ben picked these. I'm looking forward to seeing them. First is from Pinnacle. It's Deadlands. There's about 16 days left to go. Lost Colony.
Cool. So this is quite an apt one to follow on from what we're talking about from the guys at Pinnacle, who create Savage Worlds. And this is for Deadlands, which is the kind of system that's used as the background for Undeadwood and that kind of thing. And this is a new sci-fi module for Deadlands that takes it into the next level in kind of like a little bit more of a Wild West in space kind of format, which is really cool. So if you like things like, for example, Firefly and that kind of thing, where you've got the kind of space jockeys flying around in their spaceships, shooting aliens and doing all sorts of cool things, you've got some really cool things here. You play as one of the rangers within this sort of Martian, taking on things like the Dread Skinnies that are trying to take over the world and trying to keep the frontier at bay over on like Mars and all kinds of different sci-fi planets as well. Included with this, you've also got the campaign book, which will guide you through a whole bunch of different scenarios that you can play set in this world. And they've also done a whole bunch of accessories as well. So they've done things like bennies, which are these little chips that you give out to your players at the table to give them boons and sort of buffs and things for things they're doing around the game. You've also got a whole bunch of dice and some archetype cards as well to try and keep the game flowing in a little bit of a good fashion as well. Savage Worlds is a really cool system. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, but it's a lot more of a cinematic system, which I think is really good. And the emphasis is on you guys being like absolute uber heroes. So one of the big things about it is that when you fight a lot of the minions and stuff, you take them out in like one shot and do crazy cool things and stuff. But then you've got the villains for the piece that will show up, and they play a little bit more like you. And so they're a little bit more of like an interesting threat, a little bit like the sort of season finale of a show or a film or something.
It's a fairly big jump on from previous Deadlands, because Deadlands was weird Wild West. So it started in 1879. The Deadlands weirdness kicks off, and up until now, I think they progress slowly, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the old ones, as you were saying there, they had weird Wild West, so it was your cowboys and stuff like that, but with magical powers tied on top of it. This then takes things to the next level and does something a little bit more sort of like pulpy with stuff, which I think is really cool. A little bit kind of like John Carter of Mars in kind of aesthetic, with a little bit more of like a Wild West setting to it. I thought it was really cool.
I don't really think I'm a fan of sci-fi Wild West. I don't think that's a mashup that really needed to happen.
Dude, what?
I'm sorry, but
that's Firefly,
this one has...
Firefly.
Hang on a second.
Yeah,
Hold on, wait.
I think we all know what we're going to ask.
Confused.
Your favorite game is Wild West Exodus.
That's Diesel Punk Wild West.
Oh, Jesus.
That's Diesel Punk. That's not sci-fi.
Isn't it? What are the skinny alien race in that then?
It has a sci-fi element, but it's not sci-fi Wild West.
Dude, me and you are the classic contradictors.
Yeah.
Because like halfway through the show,
Yeah.
I'm talking about cash, doing a cash grab,
Yeah.
and then by the end of the show, I'm supporting Mass Murder and Wendy's when they do a cash grab. But there is a difference because I know somebody's going to comment on it. The difference is you could see the original effort that was put in to
The Wendy's one,
what
yeah.
Wendy's had done. Whereas the other is not.
Yeah.
So just in case you wonder, I am consistent, but Justin is not.
I don't know. This one's just not doing it for me.
Right. Next
I
up,
have the right to my opinion.
No, Justin, I love getting it.
Everyone's
getting it.
entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, well, do you know what?
Oh my
we don't
God,
see
what
enough
the
of that.
hell is
Let's
this?
get more opinions. Right. Next up, we have Vassen. This is Nordic horror role playing from Freya.
That's an unfortunate
Ligon.
play button.
What's the play button?
Yeah, it's covering part of the main image.
Yeah, but if you click on it, then
Click on it to make it go away.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
All right, let me just turn the volume off on this.
Make it go away.
Why are you turning the volume off now? Maybe we want to hear it.
Maybe it's thrash punk or something.
No, it's not thrash punk.
So this is a new RPG by Freya Ligon, which is also Free League, which a lot of people will know. And this is a RPG written by Niles Hintzer, who is the guy behind Tales from the Loop, which is one of the biggest role-playing games of the last, I'd say, 3-4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And this is another one that Jerry's really interested in as well, because he wrote some news about it this week. But it takes you off into the dark Gothic
look at
forests and mountains of Nordic folklore and the old myths of Scandinavia. So you play
Bjork.
as... Yeah, you play as folks
Pretty
who, from society who have what's called the Sight. And so you're heading off into the mythic north in search of strange dangers to foil interesting creatures and machinations from strange folk in the darkness and that kind of thing. And from anybody who has even heard tangentially of Tales from the Loop, you'll know that this is a pretty damn good system that's very quick and easy to learn and play. And this then takes things into a new setting and a new world, which looks absolutely breathtaking in all of the artwork that we've seen for this as well. So, yeah.
Well, let's have a quick scroll down because I've got to say, I like what I'm seeing here.
They
artwork's gorgeous.
They haven't done a game yet that hasn't been absolutely stunning in its conception and the execution of it. And this one I really like because it's a bit of Cthulhu in the 19th century in northern Scandinavia, and a bit like if you think a Nordic Hellboy in the 19th century. So, you've got a group that they're like the BPRD. They have a castle in Uppsala that between adventures you recruit for your castle, and that's the basis where weird stuff comes in and needs to be investigated, like an episode of Buffy where they had the group in the library going, oh, how do you stop the thing? And then they're all doing the research. Well, that's your little NPC group in Castle, I can't remember what it's called, Castle whatever, in Uppsala. And so they're doing the research part. They're managing your castle while you actually go out and do the adventure, do the fun stuff. You're the Hellboy shooting things in the face while somebody else is doing the dull stuff like book reading.
Do you know what it smacks of? A couple of these movies wouldn't be necessarily considered the best movies out there, but they're two movies I loved the visual style of, and that was Constantine. No, not Constantine. Van Helsing.
Yes.
Because it had the castle with all the research and stuff in it, and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So not incredibly brilliant movies in their own right, but there was
the styling behind it.
Yeah, the visuals were gorgeous.
There's a style to it. I love that era, that almost like a Victoriana kind of a thing, and that being shifted up into the Nordics. I love this.
If you're fascinated by that kind of Nordic mythology, there's a film that came out in 2017 called The Ritual, and while it's it's based on the book as well, but while it's a more modern take, and obviously because it's modern people going off into a forest and things, the stuff they do with that, with the monsters and the darkness and the mythology and stuff, is really, really good. And it would be a good basis for someone to go and watch something like that and get a feel for the kind of weird dark forests out there in Scandinavia and Norway and stuff. And
if I can also
game,
recommend, there's a dude on YouTube, okay, and his name is Dr. Jackson Crawford. Do a search there for Dr. Jackson Crawford.
I don't know.
And he's a professor in Boulder, Colorado, of Nordic studies.
Jackson, what?
Crawford. Lock up your girlfriends, boys, because every time this man pronounces Nordic stuff, and he does full videos where he pronounces Nordic words and things like that there, I have mangasms. So I can only imagine what the wives and girlfriends would be feeling whenever they watch this guy get his mouth around a northern troll. It's very, very good. It's like I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis at the foot of John Cleese. So
another thing that's quite interesting about this, obviously a lot of people when folklore and myth, they immediately go straight to, you know, gods and the Vikings and that kind of thing. But this is taking a little bit more of like a circuitous route through things and throwing a lot of the sort of darker and weirder creatures from their mythology and their folklore in particular from that kind of slightly more Victoriana style period and sort of the late Middle Ages and stuff, and bringing that into the fore, which I think is really good. So it kind of plays around with the format of what you think of when you think of Nordic, and I think it's really cool. So it's well worth checking out this one.
Good luck to them, because I think it looks fabulous.
Well, they're already funded, but they can be even more funded.
They can please be even more funded.
18 days to go.
They're closing in on 100 grand right now as we speak.
Worth hopping in on.
You're better looking at that in Swedish krona, though, because it looks more
This
impressive.
is like $1 million.
It's like 1.1.
1.2 million.
Yeah, 1.2 million Swedish krona.
Yeah.
Which, you know, after Brexit will equate to about 50 billion pounds. But definitely go and check it out. Right, I think we're done. I need to go and take a rest and get the last of my complaining out ready for XLBS tomorrow.
We'll go play Small World now, will
Yes,
we?
I'm going to go and play Small World while thinking about World of Warcraft. It's fabulous after I finished playing Blitzkrieg or whatever the hell it was called. Right. Massive thank you to Ben for a wonderful tour through stuff that was mostly newsworthy. Huge thank you to Jerry. To Justin for always putting up a fight for the wrong side, and to Brother Lloyd for his genius interjections whenever a genius interjection is exactly needed at that moment. Awesome.
Got that
But
pegged.
mostly, guys, all joking aside, thanks to you. If you'd like to continue having some crack with us, come across, join the Cult of Games, join our Discord, and live with one of us in our houses. See you later, dudes. Bye-bye. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.